What if you all have genius ability, just waiting to be liberated? And what if it's easier than you think? When I was a little girl, my mother, who loved to read and play games, she would challenge me with quizzes. And one day she proposed the never-ending question game, where you could only answer a question with another question around different topics. Did you see the beautiful clouds in the sky today? Why are some clouds fat and others skinny? Well, how many different types of clouds are there? Well, where do they come from and where do they go? How high up are they? Are they soft like cotton? And this could go on in any direction, around any event, maybe a character in a story. And we love challenging one another, where we were in the kitchen or driving a car or even just taking a walk in the park. And I was that kid who always had their hand up in class, just ready to answer or ask the next question. And one day, while in class, I had my hand up, and I heard something that I had never heard before. Stop asking so many questions! Wasn't I supposed to ask questions? Did I do something wrong? And in that moment, I felt like a door had been slammed in my face. The next day, the teacher was explaining a math problem. And then she asked if we had any questions. Well, I didn't quite understand the problem, and my normal, healthy inclination to ask got shut down. Remember what happened the last time. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm not going to get embarrassed again. And I did what a lot of kids do. I kept my hands down and my mouth shut. And even though I love learning and I knew I was supposed to ask, something in me started to withdraw. So much so that by the time I got to high school, things seemed empty and meaningless to me. So I quit, decided to just go find my own path. And fortunately, children's minds are impressionable, and my mother had planted some really good seeds deep inside my heart. So I went back and got my GED, the General Education Diploma. And then I started to take college courses. And then I started to take a lot of personal development seminars and workshops and professional development courses. And then I got access to a whole realm of alternative and innovative programs that teach how to learn and teach faster and better. And my love for learning was revived. And then one day somebody suggested that I teach an adult literacy class in the evenings, just volunteer. And I did for about a year. And there I met John. John was a husky, 50-year-old man who owned a construction company. And he had heard about me through the grapevine. And they told him, she's the one you want to work with. So when John came to me, I said, well, what's your deal? I'm a lousy reader. I have no comprehension. I start to read a book, I get down to the end, and what did I just read? I have to start all over again. He says it's literally in one eyeball, out the other. I've got monkey mind, I just can't concentrate. And I heard that you were really good, and I'm willing to give this thing one more try. I said, wow. I want to give you appreciation, first of all, for being vulnerable with me, and for also willing to face your fear of reading. And I said, I'd love to work with you. Thank you for asking me. But I've got some criteria. Let me ask you, can you get an answer to a question that you never ask? He said, no. I said, well, criteria number one is you're going to have to learn how to ask a lot of questions. Will that be okay with you? He said, yeah. I said, number two is that we're going to have a good time. We're going to make learning fun. He said, I don't want to learn how to have fun. I want to learn how to read. I said, yeah, but the old strategies didn't really work that well, so wouldn't it be cool if you could improve your reading exponentially and your memory and comprehension and have a good time at the same time? Would that be okay with you? He looked at me with a little grin. He gave me a high five, and it was on. I said, you know, the problem that most people have, John, when reading is that they're passive readers. They're not active learners. They're not active, they're not purposeful, they're not questioning, and they're stressed. And the fact of the matter is, no learning occurs when we're stressed. Shuts the brain down. So I'm going to teach you how to Be active, purposeful, and questioning. Now I want to stop right there. Because in the course of teaching John and all of the people inside of the adult literacy course, he was a composite of everybody that I saw that had been infected with the same messages that I myself had. Stop asking so many questions. And it shut him down. So I recognized that and was more than willing to do my part to help. But let me tell you about a dark secret that I have. I've been to prison. I served 4 years in prison. And when I first got there, I was sitting in the counselor's office and she said, well, we've got to put you on a work detail. I said, work? She said, yeah, everybody's got to work and do something. What do you want to do? I said, I don't know. What do you have? She says, well, there's kitchen, there's yard maintenance, there's buffing floors, and there's the library. Library, I'll take the library. She said, oh, good. I said, why did you say that? She says, because nobody wants it. So I worked in the library and the law library, and I also tutored people to help them get their GED, their general education diploma, while I was in prison. And I looked about myself while I was there and noticed that all of those individuals that I was there with had also been infected with that same message. Messages like, you're no good, you'll never make the grade. Stop asking so many questions, you're not smart enough, you won't fit in, they won't like you. And there was great healing work that had to be done. I made a commitment because I made friends with so many authors while I was there and learned so many things that I was going to become a special kind of teacher when I got out. And when I got out, I did just that. I first got introduced to the work of a guy named Georgi Lazanov, who was a Bulgarian psychotherapist that found that he could teach a conversational foreign language in 6 weeks or less using these powerful mind strategies. He then taught the work to 2 Canadian women named Sheila Ostrander and Lynn Schroeder, who wrote a book called Super Learning. Whoa! Learning faster and better. I was loving this. He also taught a guy named Peter Klein, who wrote a book called Why America's Children Can't Think, and The Everyday Genius. Phenomenal work that had an impact on me. Peter Klein then taught my teacher, a guy named Paul Sheely, who developed the photo reading whole mind system, turning pages of a book just like that at about 25,000 words per minute. And I've emerged as a master trainer for the photo reading program, but that almost didn't happen because someone said to me, stop asking so many questions. And when I think about the liberation of human genius, it starts with healing the wounded learner. Now, inside of all of these educators that I've just mentioned, a thread that all of them in the chorus all harmonize around one central theme, that we have a powerful ally. We have a mind, not just a conscious mind, but a non-conscious mind, that deeper aspect of ourselves. And that the problem with most people is they don't know that they have it, or they don't know how to access it. And that's the name of the game. And when someone makes a negative statement and it impresses itself on the non-conscious mind, it affects our perception of ourselves and all of life. That's what happened to me. That's what happened to the people in the adult literacy class. That's what happened to all of the inmates that I was in prison with. I got it. But you know, my mother, who wasn't a highly educated woman, but she was super smart in her own way, and she had something special going on. She taught a love for learning. She was curious and she was playful. And what I have learned is that we've got to learn how to be playful. Dale Carnegie said, people rarely succeed unless they're just having fun. Why can't we make learning fun? The principles of accelerated learning are understanding how our brain works, the left and right hemispheres, the conscious and the non-conscious portions of our mind. Learning how to become active, purposeful, and engaged in the learning process. How many of you have ever had experience of reading a book and it looks like this? Anybody? Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. How about this? Again, like John, you get down to the end. What did I just read? Yes. because we haven't been taught how to access that deeper part of our mind, how to liberate that human, or that genius. And we all have a non-conscious mind, so it's not something anyone is giving to you. It's something that you already possess. Milton Erickson is a famous hypnotherapist, like the father of hypnosis. And he said the problem with most people is that they're out of rapport with their non-conscious mind. They don't know how to access it. They don't know how to reprogram it, how to take charge of it. And once I learned that, I positively transformed my own life and that of the others that I encounter. Now, I travel around the world and I teach these professional development seminars. And it never ceases to amaze me that when I sit with a room of adults, 30, 40, 50 people at a time, that I have to stop periodically and do a healing session because of the number of negative messages that they've internalized. These are people who are highly educated and smart, that have degrees, but still have that message that I'm not good enough. I won't fit in. I don't have enough degrees. And we've got to learn how to let that go. So healing the wounded learner is the first step in liberating that natural brilliance that exists inside of each one of you. The other thing is through the power of inquiry. Inquiry, or asking questions, activates genius, which is why my mother was such a fun teacher. She just asked questions. Socrates, the famed Socrates, he didn't write books and give lectures. He taught simply by asking questions to draw out the natural genius inside of his students. And we've got to learn how to just get back to that. One of my big aha moments was teaching is not telling. Teaching is drawing out by asking questions that which is already in there. So I'd like to just give you all a few questions to consider. Very powerful and simple questions that you'll be asking for the rest of your life. Number one, who am I? Let me hear you say that. Who am I? Yeah, and who you are today is not the same person you were last week or last year. It's always changing. We are evolving human beings. The second one is, what do I want? Come on. What do I want? What do you want? When we're reading, we've got to be specific. What do I want from this material? What do I want from this relationship, this situation? It's always changing, and we have to keep revisiting. Who am I and what do I want? And then there's, am I willing to do something different? Come on. Am I willing to do something different? You know, if you want something different, then you gotta be willing to do something different. And we need new strategies for learning that can help us to liberate that genius. And the last one is, where do I begin? Come on. Where do I begin? Yeah. Each and every moment we've got to refresh, reconsider, and ask ourselves, who am I in this moment? What do I want? Am I willing to do something different? And where do I begin? Each and every moment, be willing to begin anew. I'd like to share with you 3 simple letters, and I know you'll be able to remember these quickly and easily, and that's ASK. Ask, and ye shall receive. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and the wonderful door to your inner mind and genius ability shall be opened. So ask, 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 and ask again, and then just listen. Thank you.